So thank you, everybody, for showing up today. It's 6:03. We'll do our very best to try to end our meeting by 9. So everybody, I'd just like to say, let's keep our comments brief and to the point, and so we can get out of here at a reasonable time. Today is September 12th. Welcome, everybody. Let me just make sure that we find out that if there are any students in the listening to our today in our neighborhood council, please raise your hand so that it can be reflected and know that you are here with us today. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and take a roll call.
Okay, John Barbera.
Present.
Vic Christensen, present. John DeMiglio.
Here.
Dan Dixon.
Here.
Craig Goldfarb.
Here.
Cynthia Gagne.
She's an attendee.
Yep, I'll move her over. Whoops, no, I won't. Let's see. Here we go. There we go. Okay, Cynthia Gagne.
You are muted, Cynthia.
All right, I'll come back to her. Gwen Henry is excused. Melanie Lebrecq.
Muted.
Here.
Kelly Miller.
Here.
Thomas Norman.
Present.
Ray Regalado.
Here.
Adrienne Reyes Cruz. I don't see her in the attendees. David Semperio.
Here.
Angela Sumner.
Here.
Chris Faye.
Here.
Cynthia Gagne.
Now?
I think we just heard you, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Okay, that's 13. We have a quorum. If Adrienne shows up, then we can mark her in too.
Great, thank you. Let's go ahead. I'm going to be moving up as a request, moving up our Plan and Land Use Committee from Diana Nave. But let's go ahead and get rid of poor choice of words. Sorry about that. General public comment on non-agenda items. If anyone would like to make a comment on non-agenda items, you have 2 minutes. And I don't see any hands up at this time, so let's, oh, there is a hand up. I see a couple. Okay, I'll take them in the order that I see them.
One quick comment before any public comments, public actually start commenting is we request that you please state your name first and last for the record, so we can make sure we get you recorded on the minutes correctly. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see, it looks like we have a Ron Reyes coming up. So Victor, could you help us out and unmute the individual?
I believe he is a elected official representative, but whoops, somebody else already did.
Yes, this is Ron Reyes from Congressman Ted Lieu's office, and it's my first meeting, so I wasn't sure where you wanted me to jump in, so I just thought I'd announce myself at least. Okay,
great. Thank you, Mr. Reyes. We do have a portion in our agenda for electeds and governmental officials and so on. So if you don't mind, we'll just hold you off until that agenda item.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for being here today. Okay. I don't see any other hands up, so we'll go ahead and move to our next agenda item. And in this case, I would like to move up Diana Nave. Diana, are you here with us?
Point of order, I have to recuse myself.
Okay. Thank you, Craig. You are recused. Diana? I am seeing if she's,
Great, now I'm unmuted.
there
Hello?
you go.
Yeah, and then could you also give me permission to share my screen?
So are we considering this first out of order?
Yes,
Yes.
we are. It's a
Okay.
request. Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure, because we didn't announce anything to anybody, so the stakeholders know.
So Diana, go ahead. Diana, you're muted.
Okay, Diana, you should
Okay.
be able to share now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, and thank you for taking me early on the agenda so I could get to my other commitment. There is one action item tonight from the Planning and Land Use Committee, and that's a letter regarding plans for a self-storage facility at 825 Miraflores, directly behind the animal shelter. The developers have purchased the property and intend to be long-term owners. And I will show you, I will attempt to show you, let's see. Let's do this correctly. Share screen. And share presentation. Okay, share. Great. Oh, it's not letting me advance the slides though. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is the proposed facility. It's 2 stories, 37,000 square feet. Would have 20 parking stalls out behind that green, what's actually supposed to be a hedge. It looks like a woven fence, but it's supposed to be a hedge. And the place that it's located on North Cabrillo Avenue and Miraflores, directly behind the animal shelter. So in here, it's the yellow, kind of a rectangle. There's one little piece of property that would still exist in between it and the animal shelter. The property is zoned industrial C, which is the appropriate zoning for this project, but because it's located within 500 feet of a residence, they did need a special approval. They talked to the residents across the street who were in support of the project. The proposed hours are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. with staff present Monday through Saturday from 8 to 5. Lots of cameras will help them control for unapproved uses. And there will be no outside storage. They'll also have external lights in place. So in addition to the neighbor directly across Cabrillo, the committee contacted the homeowners association that represents approximately half of the residents in the canyon, as well as a nearby homeowner who was not represented by that organization. They were all in favor of the facility, primarily because they felt that it was preferable to any other potential use that might be proposed, since it is an industrial zone. They're particularly concerned about anything that requires trucks because they've got a problem already with truck traffic on Miraflores. So in addition to that, they felt it would be a big improvement over what's there now and would provide a noise buffer between the animal shelter and the nearby residences. So now let me put up do this right. New share. Okay, can you see now the proposed letter? Did I get that up okay?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, so this is the proposed letter that came out of the planning committee. The draft letter supports the project with a couple of stipulations. These stipulations were discussed with the developers. The developer will repair the curb gutters and sidewalks. There will be no long-term parking in the parking lot. The hours of operation would be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the last one was that every effort would be made to save the pine trees. There's a row of beautiful pine trees on part of the property leading up to Leland Park. So that was the letter that's before you with recommendation for approval.
Okay, thank you, Diana. We'll take any comments from the board first and then move into and I should say this was from the committee, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be taking comment from the board and then we'll go to public comment. Cynthia, I see your hand up.
Right, Diana, how many trees are on that lot and are they going to contact you before they do start cutting? Instead of, maybe just saying we could only save one, that we might have a say in it?
Well, what we actually are asking them to do is to contact the city's Office of Forest Management to make sure that it's done properly and that they can be saved. And we're also asking them to have them trimmed. There's probably, didn't count them, maybe 10 along there. I may be able to put the picture back up. That I didn't show the picture that shows them. Put that up. No, I can't. I don't know where it went. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Victor.
If you do a search on Google Maps for the address and pan a little bit, you can get to where the trees are shown. If you do a street level view, and I agree, there's probably somewhere around 10 there. And I would also support leaving in as many as possible, preferably all of them, to have when this project happens.
yeah, the request was to leave all of them because they don't interfere with the driveway into the property.
Okay.
What time does it start?
What was the question?
Lydia, did you ask a question right now?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Diana, a question that popped into my mind when you were saying that there is support by the neighbors. How do we know that there's support? Is there some way of measuring that or seeing it, or is this coming strictly from the developer?
We contacted the homeowners association that represents about half of the neighbors. And their representative told, that was who we spoke to, was their representative. And then I also I personally spoke with another neighbor that wasn't represented by the homeowners, but lives very close to this property.
Okay.
There may be some residents here tonight. I don't know. I can't.
Okay. Any more
Right.
questions from the, okay, Dan, do you have a question on this particular item?
Just to say that the representative of the homeowners association asked good questions, which were answered. Her concern was primarily the trees as well. And I think the way the letter's written, getting them in touch with the Forest Management Department and also supporting a variance in the setback requirements is, that's a good thing, and that's what we can do to be helpful here. The developer did not seem eager about taking the trees out either.
Okay. So it brings up a question that I have. I'm sorry, but as far as the tree preservation is concerned, does that if they find that they're gonna have to remove a tree or two, are they going to let us know, or is it just, just gonna take it for granted that they tried to do the best job they could in preserving the current landscape?
Well, we could follow up with them after the public hearing. The public hearing's on the 28th.
Okay,
We could ask them to, well, at the hearing, we could ask them to get back to us after they've talked to the city's Office of Forest Tree Management.
okay, great, thank you. If there's any attendees that would like to ask any questions on this particular item, let's see, I do see a hand up. Mr. Christensen, would you help us with our community questions?
Are already done.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please identify yourself. For the record.
I'm Honey Coletti, and I'm the one who spoke with Diana on behalf of the HOA organization, but I've since spoken with a couple of neighbors, and their concern is, well, I'm still concerned about the trees. Yes, I want to see the trees stay, absolutely, because we are in a canyon, and the wildlife that we have here, we want to keep the wildlife. And also climate change. I think the trees contribute to the health of the area. And because there is a lot of truck activity here, we can use all the green we can get. Two things. One is that the neighbor's concern was because of the amount of the construction that was going to take place. They live within 500 feet. They're the ones who received the notice that I forwarded, I believe I forwarded it to Diana. They received a notice talking about the construction, and our concern is that the concern is the traffic, because the trucks already present a barrier to the throughway there, if you will, when the trucks are out and active in that area, because there's a truck lot. And also it appears from the construction, or at least the neighbor feels that our only way in and out is there's one way in and one way out, and there's a cut through, and it's a series of cul-de-sacs up off of Miraflores, that traffic will be impeded, critically impeded, with the construction going on, and also the noise abatement, as well as the dust. I think the neighbor may be there. I'm not sure. Yeah.
We do have another hand up by the name of Delaney. Would that be the
Yes.
person?
Yes, that's
Okay.
the neighbor. Yes.
Okay. Are you through with your comments?
I believe I made my points. I reserve the right to raise my hand again, though. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Christensen?
Oh, Delaney is already able to speak.
Okay, I'm on right now. Delaney Jones here. I'm part of the Miraflores community. I
Yes.
did receive one of those letters because I'm within 500 feet of the newly proposed construction. And like Honey was talking about, I did have some concerns. And some of my concerns come from the building of the animal shelter. I remember, I've been here for 17 years now, and I remember receiving a proposal for the animal shelter. And basically, we had no say so. But the thing with me was, and a lot of other neighbors, we were expressly told that it would be 100% indoors. Therefore, we would never hear any noise
Yes.
coming from the barking dogs.
Yeah.
Well, that was the furthest thing from the truth, because the only thing indoors is the administrative office, along with the other animal shelters, such as snakes, rabbits, cats. All the dog shelters, I believe 100% of the dog shelters are outside, and we hear the dogs barking all the time. So that's one concern that's why I'm concerned about the accuracy of this the storage place, and does that picture, accurately represent what it's going to be like. Honey mentioned the cut through traffic at the alley. Yeah, I'm really concerned about traffic during the build out. I understand the build out is going to be about 2 years, and Miraflores is highly congested as it is, and that cut through is really not an alternative for cars. At one point going through the alley, it's literally one way, and there's been numerous traffic accidents reported inside in that alley, including my next door neighbor. So that would be a very weak alternative to Miraflores. Yeah, and those are some of my concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see another hand up, but anybody, Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Regalado. My name is Eric Aguchi. I am the project applicant. Is it okay if I speak at this time?
Yes, sir.
So with respect to construction traffic, you're absolutely right. That is going to, I can't, there's no use hiding it. It will be an inconvenience for residents. But it will be subject to a traffic management plan. I understand that the alley cut through is frankly not an option for the residents. I don't think the city will allow us to block traffic on that street. That said, on Miraflores. That said, we're lucky to have Cabrillo Avenue as an alley where we can do most of our construction staging in our whatever, have our trucks there to offload materials. So I understand Miraflores is already impacted by delivery trucks, just parking kind of in the middle of the street. I can't speak for everyone of our contractors, but every effort will be made never to block that street. And according to our permit, the city would not let us do that. That would be a fire hazard. So you can come after us and have code enforcement chase us down if that's the case. Now, with respect to the trees, our hesitation there is I like the trees. I'd like to save them, but we're removing them just to be compliant with the San Pedro specific plan. Not saving them would require a variance. We hope with your support and pressure on city planning that we will be able to save them. But it's a function of requiring a parkway setback along that street. That's the reason why we're getting rid of them, or contemplated getting rid of them. But again, we will make every effort to save them if we can. And just real quick, I'll keep it brief. We do see a few community benefits here. The first one, there's a lot of new multifamily housing being proposed. There's not a lot of storage in those multifamily units, so we see this as a benefit for those new residents. Second, the animal shelter, when we're at the property, we do notice the dogs barking constantly. We do think this will provide a sound buffer from the neighborhood from those dogs, from those loud animal noises. And then three, being able to clean up the, there is a transient problem that we've noticed on Cabrillo Avenue. We hope that the cameras and the lights would, dissuade those transients from parking in the car or loitering out on that street. Now we can't fix the ongoing homeless issues in California, but maybe with a little bit more street presence, it'll enhance the safety of the overall neighborhood. So those are my comments. I want to thank you all for your time. We've gone through two land use committee hearings, and I appreciate everyone's comments. And frankly, they helped us make a better project. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, I do not see any other community hands up, so I see one additional hand, and then we'll take this as our last question / comment, and that is Mr. Christensen.
Mine is up too.
This is a question.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say,
we'll take Cynthia next after you're through. Sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking I don't see Cynthia's up.
Yeah.
This is a question for Eric. If the trees have to go, would you be willing to plant more trees to replace them.
Yep.
So eventually they could grow back, plant them beyond the offset that you were talking about.
Yeah, more than happy to do that. The issue is, and the hesitation comes from just adhering to the code. If we vary from the code, we come into a whole host of problems and we have to get a variance or amend the code. The city of LA Planning Department is a stickler for following their rules and regulations. And that's unfortunately what we have to do, but would appreciate any efforts you could do to allow maybe a variance here, notwithstanding having to, study this for another year.
Thank you. Cynthia, you're next, and then Dan after Cynthia.
Okay, so I understand now the trees are not going to be saved, but possibly you will plant, but it's only possibly you will plant the new plants there.
No.
Go ahead.
We will attempt to save the trees because ultimately it'll be up to the city of LA and their planning department. But if they are removed, we are required to adhere to a specific landscape palette that the city has designated. And again, varying beyond that puts us in jeopardy of planning issues, but also water conservation issues.
Right, and would you put in the proper irrigation system so that they can be watered and not just planted and die?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Dan, you're next.
Thank you, Eric. Does the setback issue have to do with a sidewalk on that side of the street?
That's a
No,
question.
it doesn't have to deal with the sidewalk. It's just the parkway requirements and setback requirements pursuant to the code.
Okay. I hear you. It's the city, but Diana, I hope that we can look at that a little more closely. It can't be the first time a variance has ever been issued. But I'm a little concerned that with drought conditions and the types of trees these are, maybe they're not considered correct for the climate situation right now. So I'd like to do whatever we can to maintain the ones that are there somehow.
Well,
Thank you.
I believe the pine trees are not considered drought tolerant trees.
Now there's a problem, folks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan. I do not see any other questions or hands up, so we'll go ahead and take the vote on this. Mr. Christensen, would you like to take the vote, please?
Okay, and this is voting on the letter that's on the screen.
Yes.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio,
Yes.
Dan Dixon. Unmute.
Sorry. Yes.
Cynthia Gagne,
Yes.
Melanie Lebrecq,
Yes.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Yes.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
David Samperio,
Yes.
Angela Sumner,
Yes.
Chris Valle,
Yes.
okay, that's 12 ayes and 1 recusal.
Okay, thank you very much, Diana, as always, great work. Do you have anything else you'd like to cover before you have to leave?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you. And just one quick thing. The joint committee meeting on Wednesday, September 28th is going to have a presentation on a rather interesting idea. It's a proposed enhancement infrastructure financing district, which is a way to get funds for improvements such as roads, libraries, parking, and affordable housing at no additional cost to taxpayers. So I would encourage anyone who has an interest in it to attend that meeting. As part of the meeting, I anticipate that they're going to take a survey on which type of improvements people most feel should be funded out of this district. So it's a way to participate and give feedback as well as to hear the concept. It's moving ahead. Thank you very much. And thanks again for taking me first. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Diana. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next item, and that would be Mr. Christensen, if you could go up. I believe it's going to our homelessness liaison report.
Yes, the homelessness report is next.
Great. Okay. Do we have Lori on board?
We do indeed. Good evening, Northwest San
Hello,
Pedro
Lori.
Neighborhood Council. Hope you're all having a good evening so far. I'm just waiting for him to pop the report up on the screen. One of the first items that I have on the report when it pops up is letting people know that people experiencing homelessness have the ability to register to vote. And that's really important because they need to have a voice and advocate for their own services. So I've outlined the process, how they could enter an address. And for everybody, remember, to be able to vote on the November 8th election, you need to register by October 24th. So I'll be promoting this I've already talked to some of the service providers, so they know people at encampments and at the shelters, how they can register to vote. As usual, we always highlight, if you see something, put a submittal into the LA Hot portal. I always include that in each report, so you can get used to that. Scrolling, continuing, Vic. I have a list of the stats for the harbor area homelessness encampments and shelters. I don't need to review all of those with you. Hopefully you had a chance to see the report, and anybody attending here, the report is on our website and as part of this packet. But keep scrolling, because what I really wanted to get to, okay, is the homeless count. But I will say too that September is Suicide Prevention Month. If you are concerned about somebody, don't take a chance. There's numbers on here to call, reach out to somebody. Don't assume they're okay. Reach out. Better you annoy them than you have regrets that somebody needed some help. So, so the homeless count, stop moving, Vic. So I've put some links in here so everybody can look at the dashboard in great detail. It's a lot to unpack. I'm waiting, somebody is working on giving specific breakdowns for San Pedro. I can tell you the San Pedro total count is down. In 2020, there was 583 people counted. This time there was 413, with 146 sheltered, 267 unsheltered. This is a barometer. This is a gauge. This is a count done on one day of the entire year. Okay, so this is not, you know, a black and white data that you can say this is 100% accurate. It's the best we can do, and resources are allocated based on these numbers. Overall, the county is up about 4.1% on people experiencing homelessness. The South Bay itself is down a little bit. Okay, and you can read all the numbers here. You can spin numbers any way you want. The fact is, we still do have more people entering homelessness at a faster rate than we can find housing, case management, shelter. A big concern, if you've read any of the articles in the Daily Breeze recently, is that the LA County eviction moratorium will for sure end at the end of December. At their board meeting tomorrow, they're going to talk about the process and what that looks like. I continue to urge people to know what their rights are as tenants. Okay, just because you get an eviction notice doesn't mean that it's do or die. There are resources available. I'm pleased myself at the numbers. I know all the work that people have been doing for the last 2 years, especially during COVID, is helping a lot of people. Okay. So I don't know. I don't want to go into great detail with the numbers because, like I said, you can evaluate them yourself. I didn't know if anybody had a chance to look at them. Once I have a breakdown specifically for Pedro, how many people were beyond the shelter and unsheltered, we get how many people appeared to be in vehicles and, more detailed data. What else was I going to say? And also a reminder that the 988 number, and past this, I have some information. It did go into effect. This is a 911 is for all emergencies, but 988 triggers specifically people having some type of psychotic break or mental health issue. Right now, they're training the 911 operators how to recognize, should the call go to law enforcement, that we need somebody there to show up, from law enforcement, or when it might be a situation where that's not the best solution. But it's a slow process. This 988 number was rolled out in July across the nation. California is one of the few states that's actually ahead of the game, but we still have quite a ways to go. It's still routing, if you call 988, right to the suicide hotline. So they're working on that. They're getting people trained at the D.B. Hirsch Mental Health Center. So it's going to be a process, but I think it's a good thing. We just have to kind of work through the process. So I'm just kind of giving you a general overview, see if anybody has any questions.
Okay, Lori, thank you for that report. We'll go into our public comment period. We'll take comments from the board first. Do I see any hands up? Okay, I see no hands up from the board. I'm looking at the public in attendance, and now's the time to raise your hands if you have any questions for our homelessness expert, Lori Jacobs. And I do not see any hands up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for anybody who's demonstrating compassion and helping our neighbors experiencing homelessness. Let's continue to work towards solutions. Thank you.
Lori, thank you for all the work that you're doing. This is really important work for our community. Thank you very much for that. Okay, we'll go on to our next agenda item, and that will be our agenda item number 4, our elected and governmental and public safety representatives. So since I did call on Mr. Reyes first, Mr. Reyes, how about you just starting us off with I guess a report from your side of the fence.
Absolutely. So my name is Ron Reyes. I work for in district for Congressman Ted Lieu for District 33. I am a Gold Star Family Fellow. The reason I'm actually assigned for 2 years. I'm a Gold Star son. My father was killed in Vietnam when I was a month old, and so I'm devoting 2 years to working in district. And so I do a lot of military and veteran outreach, as you can imagine. One of the nice little tie-ins here is I was actually born right off there off 7th Street. My mom was born there. My grandmother worked at the Starkist factory. My aunts worked there, and quite a large part of my family still lives in the area. So I'm tied there. In fact, my grandparents are buried at the Green Hills. So it's a community that's close to me. So reports from me are, well, Congress is back in session this week. And so we've done a lot of district work. So I think this what we'll focus on more or less are some things that you may not hear about all the time. And we are taking applications for service academies. So that's where members of Congress can nominate candidates to be appointed to our military and merchant marine academies. And you can go on our website and see that. Normally I would drop that link into the chat, but I don't see that. So the other thing we are working on right now is the Congressional App Challenge, which is a STEMS program. And really it is for junior high age students to create apps, and like apps for your computer, for your phones. And that's going on right now with applications need to be received by November 1st. On Service Academy, we need applications by October 14th. The other thing that we always do is casework. So if you're working with any federal agency, SBA, IRS, VA, any federal agency you need an answer from, you can come to us. We can ask a question and we can get an answer. A lot of times that will stop a backlog. So if you haven't, let's just say you haven't received a return from the IRS, we can put in a congressional inquiry. We will deal directly with a congressional liaison and they will answer us. And that happens in all federal agencies. And you can come to us or just if you need an answer, a question answered. And if anybody is going to be in our nation's capital, always remember that we can help organize tours for the White House, the Capitol building, and some other events around the area. So pretty short for us this month, and you'll probably hear from me again next month. So thank you for having me today.
Mr. Reyes, thank you very much. Part of our agenda is, as we always do, is that we give the community the opportunity to ask questions through public comment. And I'd like to extend our first opportunity to our board members if there's any questions or comments. Oh, I see Mr. Vai. Would you like to ask your question or make your comment?
Sure. Thanks, Ron, for attending. I just wanted to follow up because you did mention that, you know, you could be kind of a go-between for any federal agencies. And I know that in the past, I personally reached out to Congress member Barragan's office about the U.S. Postal Service back when there was in more of a state of crisis currently. And so since then, service has improved and everything, but I would sort of like to reach out to any and all members of Congress who may be able to sort of, you know, nudge them with the stick every once in a while to hopefully include the upward trend in terms of the quality of service and, you know, to kind of possibly sort of check back in with us to let us know how, you know, it's kind of what their operating system is or their status is relative to a couple of years ago when things were kind of hairy and hopefully, you know, continue this positive trend.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, that is something that is a continual issue that we deal with daily. We still have inquiries. We are on a monthly call in the area for USPS, and we are keeping our really a pulse of any delays in service, any quality issues. Sometimes, quite frankly, sometimes it will get better, and then I've seen it return in certain areas, and so we'll jump on that right away. So if you're having any issues, and you're in our district, by all means, reach out. If you're not in our district, reach out to the congressman in your district. They are also on the same calls that we are. So it's something that we actually take pretty serious in our district and have been tracking. So I'm glad you brought that up. Most people don't mention that, and that's one of the things that we do need to increase service.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands, at least from my perspective here from our board. So I do not see any hands unless are slow. I think Mr. Ohm.
Yeah, I do see Officer Elmer is.
Are you asking a question or you're just ready to give your report?
I am ready to jump in, sir.
Okay, let's see if we have any other questions as far as from the community, and it does not appear that we do. I do believe the other hands up are from representatives. So Jocelyn Dominguez, I believe, is she a representative also?
Jocelyn, are you a representative?
Yes, hello.
Yes. Okay. Just let me say thank you, Mr. Reyes. Thank you for being here today, and hope to see you at future meetings.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
All right. Officer Ulmer, can we go ahead and let Jocelyn give her report as elected, and then we'll pick you up next. And then I do believe we have Octaviano also, which will finish off our reports.
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Dominguez, would you like to go ahead and talk to us a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. So my name is Jocelyn Dominguez. I am the Harbor Area Representative. I did want to go ahead and share some updates with you all. So we will be having a workshop at the San Pedro Chamber of Commerce coming up this month on September 22nd from 5 to 6 p.m. This is with the Business Source Center. And they will be sharing some information with street vendors or anyone who's interested in selling on the sidewalk, and just sharing some educational information on how they can get permits, and also offering some assistance on getting those permits as well. So again, that will be on September 22nd from 5 to 6 p.m. Another update that I did want to share out with you all is, and I did share these updates in the monthly report that I sent out to you, Ray, earlier this month. So one of them is the Mentor, Train, Hire, and Elevate. So Elevate program is with the Department of Economic Opportunity with the County of Los Angeles, and they are now accepting applications from employers or small businesses who are willing to take on career-ready youth and take them on as interns. So this program covers 100% of the internship up to 360 hours, just giving them the opportunity to get that career experience, work experience, and get them ready for the workforce. Another update is the monkeypox vaccination. So there are updates with the eligibility to get the vaccine. It now includes skin-to-skin or intimate contact with persons at large venues or events in the past 14 days. And it also includes now persons of any gender or sexual orientation who engaged in commercial and or transactional sex in the past 14 days. So this does include sex in exchange for money, shelter, food, and other goods and needs. And in the monthly report, you will find links to the sites that offer the vaccine, as well as the link to the list of eligibility, the symptoms, and how to get tested and all that. So those are all the updates for me. If any of you need to reach out to me for anything, my email is jocelyn.dominguez@lacity.org, and my number is 213-400-9266. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dominguez. And just for clarity, she is with the mayor's office. So thank you, Ms. Dominguez, for being here today. I think I saw a hand up earlier from the neighborhood council, Mr. Christensen. Was that your hand up?
Yes, that was my hand up, but I think you just answered the question. I don't know if I missed it, but I hadn't heard what office she is with, and you just said it.
There you go. All right, cool. Any other board member with a question or comment to Ms. Dominguez? I don't see any board members, so we'll go with the community, and it looks like Lori Jacobs has her hand up.
Oh, yeah, just a quick question. Is Ms. Dominguez the new Joanna? Does she have that same role?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. We look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I don't see any other hands up, so we'll go ahead and let our senior lead officer, Paul Omer, give his report.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you all for having me back. It's been a couple of months. And it looks like we have some decent crime numbers and some bad ones, which I will go over and explain with you. First off, homicide. We're comparing August 2021 to August 22. It went from 0 to 1. That was a homeless / possible gang-related homicide that occurred on August 1st off of Westmont, east of Gaffey, in a commercial area that is currently being investigated by Operation South Bureau Homicide. Robberies increased about 50% from 4 to 6. Aggravated assault from 4 to 10, with the majority of those being both domestic and homeless on homeless related. Rapes from 1 to 0. Burglaries increased from 6 to 8. And of those 8, 7 were commercial. There have been some arrests made since the beginning of August on those, and 1 is residential. Now we're getting hit pretty hard with vehicle thefts. Our GTAs increased 200% from 8 to 24. And this is due to that social media trend started by the Kia boys on TikTok, in which they are able to start any Kia or Hyundai, I believe from the year 2015 or newer, simply with a USB cable. And the majority of this, actually, I'm sorry, 13 of 24 of, so over half of those vehicle thefts were Kia and Hyundais. Pretty significant there. With burglary from motor vehicles, just simple car break-ins, a slight decrease of 6%. We went from 16 to down to 15. And I feel that almost all of those could have been prevented. Of 13 out of those 15 vehicles, so pretty much all of them were unlocked vehicles. So I'm just reminding everybody to double check after they lock their vehicle, click the lock button on their fob that it's actually indeed locked and your windows are rolled up. That's a lot of burglary from motor vehicles that could have been prevented. And petty thefts went down from 9 down to 4, a little over 50% decrease. And that's, I attribute that to our new project we're starting, which is a big box store detail, in which we're working with Vice and the Community Relations Office to help prevent people running out with cartloads of merchandise from big box stores in the area. And if anybody has any questions for me, feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you for the report, Officer Ulmer. We'll go ahead and take some questions from our board. First, I'll take the questions in the order that I saw the hands go up. So I saw Chris, Mr. Valle, and then Melanie, and then Mr. Goldfarb. So Chris, you want to go ahead and ask the question?
Thanks very much. I just, one as a point of clarification about the Hyundai and Kia thefts. It should be pointed out that the flaw that allows this ignitions to be started is for vehicles that do not have a push button start. So if your vehicle starts with a key, you're vulnerable to that. And apparently, if you have push button start, it is not. And as a new Hyundai owner, it was mildly reassuring, but not quite enough, because I'm hoping they know that mine's not one of the ones that they can steal easily and mess it up trying to learn the hard way. My other question was that I had spoken to one of your I guess it's a corporal. I stopped by the harbor office to actually try and speak with you, Officer Ulmer. This is in anticipation of our special meeting on the Peck Park incident. And so I wanted to reach out to you and have a conversation in the future, either with you or someone who might be more of a specialist at the department, about your training and tactics in terms of LAPD response to situations like that. You know, certainly before it's known exactly what the nature of the situation is, but including, you know, during and after those type of incidents. So if there's a time that would be better for you to be reached, I suppose that'd be nice for me to know. And then I also saw somewhere in the news today that arrests were made in relation to the shooting. I was wondering if you had any information or comment on that.
Well, the comment is that we're actually making progress. That's great. We as a department were pretty frustrated that with several hundreds of people there, that there was not one witness that wanted to step forward and offer up information. As for public information being provided, that is the most I could say, is that the investigation is still underway and we're making progress. I did receive your contact information on a business card after you did come to the front station. And I will be giving you a call. I'll be working all week and we could set something up and provide you with that information from our training unit on how LAPD does respond to critical incidents such as that.
Thanks very much.
Okay. Melanie, would you like to go ahead and ask your question? or
Yeah,
make a comment?
Paul,
Yes.
thank you so much for your effort. I know you've had a lot going on with new baby and all, and I thank you so much because you've been an asset to work with and try and get some of the stuff, you know, that's going on taken care of. Can you elaborate at all more of a clarification as to what happened with the woman in the park that they found naked in the bathroom?
The one that was transported by the fire department.
Yeah, do you have the full information on that?
Unfortunately, I do not. Even if I attempted to reach out, which I have in the past for other medical related incidents, the hospitals simply refuse and use the keyword HIPAA. So they provide no information whatsoever to us.
Alrighty. Yeah, I was just curious if there's any further information on her as to situation or disposition or anything.
If I find out anything new, I will reach out to you.
Okay, already, thank you.
Okay. Craig, you want to go ahead, make a comment or ask your question?
Paul, thank you for responding, but about Westmont, but I went up there on Sunday and substantially nothing has changed. In fact, there's more than 20 RVs parked up there, plus a lot of sort of vehicles attached to them. And there's tractor trailers that were parked up there. There was a low boy that was just sitting there on the side of the road with no tractor picked up to it. And of course there was a couple tractors out there. So I take it you guys are paying attention to it, but I'm not seeing any change.
So again, yes, I reached out to Officer Rowe. From his end, he's going to tackle it however he sees fit. From my end, I am working the next 7 days. I will go up there and take action. Guaranteed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. I do see some hands from the community, so we'll move over to the community side and take public comment.
Let me chime in really quick, Ray.
Sure.
I would like to introduce, I believe, at least one of them on the line from the city attorney's office, neighborhood prosecutor Nicole Ruiz or a Jonathan Garza should be in the meeting right now.
Okay, I actually see Jonathan's hand up. Would Jonathan like to say a word or two?
Yeah, hi.
And I also see Nicole's hand up. So they're both on here. Great.
Can you guys hear me? This is Jonathan Garza.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, Paul asked me to be here. It's a pleasure to meet you guys. I've actually attended a few of your meetings. This is, I think, my third one that I'm attending. Thank you guys for having me. You know, I'm just kind of here. I work directly with Paul, and a lot of the cases and a lot of arrests that he makes come to me. And, you know, just kind of want to echo some of the things that he's saying, that crime prevention is a big deal. I know at all these CPAP meetings, a lot of these meetings, it's the same stats, it's the same crimes that are happening. And, you know, I think a lot of these crimes can be prevented if you guys put locks in your cars and just be aware of your surroundings, cameras. That's you know, a big deal. There was a mention about the RV issues. I know that's still being kind of worked out between the city council and the Department of Transportation. I know that's a citywide issue that's, growing exponentially, but I know it's, I know Paul's all over it, and a few other SLOs are confronting these issues on a daily basis. But yeah, so like I said, I'm a neighbor prosecutor. I work closely with Paul, and yeah, happy to be here.
Great, thank you. Can we, I believe we have Nicole Ruiz on the line, so can we go ahead and see if she has any comments?
Yeah, I appreciate everyone having us here today as well. I am Nicole Ruiz, formerly Nicole Deering. I recognize many of the names that have spoken tonight, and I appreciate everybody's engagement. I think that it really sometimes goes unappreciated. People who are engaged in the community are the eyes and ears, and you guys are really, really the ones that help us do our job for you. And so I really do appreciate the engagement. I cover a large area, and not every community is as active as this one and others that I've seen, but it really does go a long way. So it really is appreciated. Please don't lose that passion for the community. But I work alongside neighbor prosecutor Jonathan Garza and the senior leads as well to just kind of bring services to the community. I wish that, you know, we could solve every single problem that comes across our desk, but we definitely, if we can't solve it, we definitely try, and we definitely try and leave things better than when we found them. But if there is anything that I can bring to the table to help support the neighborhood, support the community, or support an individual, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll be happy to talk with you and kind of point you in the right direction if I can't bring resources directly to you. So thank you.
Thank you for being here today, Nicole. There is Lori Jacobs on the community side. Can we get Lori's comments or question?
Hi, thank you. He's already unmuted me. I wanted to speak about the RV situation, the encampment that's up there at the top of Westmont. So I attend a weekly meeting that's called a care coordination that includes the local service providers and mental health organizations. They're totally aware of this. They have a schedule of 2 or 3 days a week that they try to coordinate, having both the mental health show up at the same time as LASA outreach workers, Harbor Interfaith, PATH. So they have been calling on these people. It's not that nothing is being done. It's a very slow process. Most of those motorhomes are dilapidated. They're not in working order. They've been getting vaccination crews up there to make sure they're vaccinated, both with COVID and monkeypox. They're offering them services. It may not look like it, but a handful of those motorhomes actually were removed in the last month, but new ones showed up. So you still end up with about the same count. So it's something that's on the radar, and they are working in coordination with law enforcement too. And just an FYI that tomorrow the Board of Supervisors has a motion to actually create they're calling it an RV encampment pilot program. First focus is going to be on some of the unincorporated areas, because there's over 300 of these in the Harbor Gateway area. Makes our little 15 units look pretty small. And the motion is to try and coordinate with Caltrans, DMV, if any of them are in working orders, to get them registered, to get services, to see who's willing to accept services now, get them housed, remove anything that is causing a sanitation issue. I've been dealing with them with RV waste. There's a mobile RV waste disposal unit. So this is a huge issue the county's starting to tackle. Should have been tackled a long time ago. Those RVs have been up there for a long time. So hopefully this will be the beginning. They're actually looking at creating sort of a safe parking for RVs, for ones that are in working order, have DMV registration, as people are trying to get jobs and get out of living in there. So anyway, I just wanted to share that it's not being ignored. It is being addressed. It's just a very slow process. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. I see another hand up, Delaney.
Yeah, Delaney Jones again from the Mirrorflores community, and I know this is minor in comparison, but in the Mirrorflores community, traffic is everything because we basically all have cul-de-sacs and it's basically one way in, one way out. And so other than the proposed construction of the new storage facility, I was wondering what type of resources could we get or who could we contact to help with the parking enforcement on Mirrorflores from the big trucks and tractor trailers from the port? Because this has been going on for about a year now. And about a year ago, it started with one truck, then two trucks. There are times where both sides of Mirrorflores is completely filled with either trucks or tractor trailers on both sides. In fact, I have another neighbor that got into an accident with one of the trucks. And another time, a truck actually drove down into the neighborhood with a tractor trailer, and it literally took this guy 23 minutes just to turn around because I watched him, and he had to drive his trailer up on the one of the residents' grass. So I feel this problem is getting worse and worse with respect to these trucks and tractor trailers. And I don't think DOT would be the one to maybe enforce laws regarding parking, because there are parking signs that say no parking of any vehicles higher than 7 feet beyond 2 a.m. But they do it anyway because it's not enforced. And personally, I feel if we would they would just start giving them citations, parking citations, then just like the word got out that making them okay to park there, the word would get out that that it's not okay to park there because the police or the city is now enforcing the parking laws. Just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Delaney. Officer Ulmer, any suggestions, any comments?
Yes, Delaney, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I mean, we can do the exact same thing DOT can. I feel that our response time on some of those issues is slightly better than theirs. I will address that this week. And just to clarify that these are unhitched trailers that are being left on a city street. Am I correct?
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yes, it's both. Sometimes they're connected to a trailer. Most of the time they're not connected to a trailer, and sometimes they'll leave the trailer there. The tractor trailer there by itself for days on end.
Okay, yeah, I'll go out there. I'll also email, or we have a local, or I should say divisional traffic enforcement officer. His whole day is spent issuing citations. I'll go ahead and request him to be directed there to that location this week, as well as I'll put that on my calendar to do the same. And as in the past, from my experience working in areas of Harbor City and Wilmington, once they see police out there and one person gets their trailer impounded, everybody starts running and trying to load up their trailers and take off, and it usually makes a good impression, and the issue will resolve itself that way.
Absolutely, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I do not see any other hands from the community, and hang on just a second. Let me close the door because I think my dog sees a squirrel. Hang on. Sorry about that. So we do have another report, I believe, from Octavio Rios from Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. Octaviano?
Yes, Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
We can.
Awesome, thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Octaviano Rios. I'm with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, City of Los Angeles. I will work very hard to keep my report really short, but that doesn't mean I am not available to talk during the week. So to start, I have a reminder of an upcoming training at the Congress of Neighborhoods for the to cover the topic of digital communications policy for training for neighborhood councils. We had 2 previous trainings the department hosted virtually, of course, and the department added a 3rd training for the 24th at the Congress of Neighborhoods. That's kind of coming up quickly, amazingly. Time flies. Registration is open, and that's my other announcement or reminder, I should say, that the Congress of Neighborhoods, the annual conference for not just board members of neighborhood councils, but committee members, stakeholders, community partners, city hall partners. It's open to the public. It's going to be held virtually. So I encourage you all to register for it at neighborhoodcongress.la, Saturday, September 24th. It's an all-day, 9 to 3 approximately event, but like any conference format, you can come and go to different workshops of interest, register to some, and then go to others. So enjoy it. It's an event that I have gone to probably the majority of them, and they're very informative and a lot of fun. Not as fun as the ones in person, of course, but still very informative and very popular. So going back to the digital communications policy training, if you can't make any of the live trainings, there's a recording for the, I believe, the first one and the second one that you can check out. It's about an hour and a half, if I'm not mistaken, and you can go to empowerlate.org /trainings meetings / and I'll send a post meeting notes with that information, with that link as well. And last but not least, the Civic U 1.0. For those that have never gone to this optional information session about City Hall, Dr. Rave Sonnenschein, who's a very informative, funny, entertaining professor, teaches this 3-session course in partnership with the department. And we're asking neighborhood councils to appoint no more than the majority of a quorum to attend these virtual sessions. And it's quite a commitment. You have to attend all 3, October 6th, 13th, and 27th from 6:30 to approximately 8 o'clock. And once the board takes action, you can submit those names virtually, or not virtually, excuse me, via link online. And you can submit that in a special form that Pat Brown Institute has developed, and they'll receive, and that you'll get your registration information there. So if you haven't done so, and I believe the neighborhood council hasn't appointed, but I could be wrong. I have memory lapses these last few days. So October 6th, October 13th, and October 27th, I'll send you more information from there. And I promised I was going to keep this report short. So that concludes my report, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Octaviano. Let's see, we'll go to the board first for any questions. I see Melanie's hand up. Melanie, go ahead.
Yeah, just we had appointed originally 3 people to go before, and we were too late because we had missed the first one. It's before you took over, Ray. And so, but the only problem with that is myself, and I think, I'm not sure if it was Thomas was one of them, and I'm not sure who the third person was, but that 27th is the day of our town hall. So if you have to attend all 3, that's going to be a problem.
Okay, well, we can see how we might be able to coordinate alternates or whatever. So we can take that issue up, identifying who.
Yep.
After, at another time. But
okay.
That's good. That's a good point. Thank you for that. Any other questions from the board? Comments? I don't see any others. So now's the time for the public can make any comments to Octaviano. And anybody like to make a comment, question, raise your hand? I don't see any hands. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, Octaviano, thank you for all your work and great report. And we will see you all later. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all.
Take care. Okay, so now we'll move on to our next agenda item, and that will be a training tutorial from Mr. Christensen.
And while we're waiting, while I'm getting the screen shared, I think I saw more people log in after we first asked about the how many students were there. So if any students who are in attendees could raise your hand one more time, just to get a last call and make sure we have everybody. And then Melanie, let me know when you have everybody that you screenshot of everybody that you need.
And you also may want to add your full name to your ID tag.
So Melanie, you let them know when you've got what you need.
Melanie, you're muted.
All set. I took a screenshot. I got it.
Okay.
Okay. As we know, there is confusion when it comes to renewing training. So I'm hoping that this won't take more than maybe 10 minutes to just do a quick tutorial on how to find out when you last took your training, so you know when your expiration is, and how to actually get to the point where you can retake the training to renew it. Part of the problem with the process is that there are no email notifications, no automatic notifications when you log into the Cornerstone platform or anything like that that says, hey, your training's about to expire, you got to renew it. That is up for you. That is up to you to keep track of. Because right now the system is not set up to where you can, have any automated notification that your training's about to expire. So the first place you can look to find out what your expiration dates are is this page that I have up here, Empower LA / in our case, NWSPNC. Each neighborhood council has a similar page. And if you go down from here, it will show you your training status. In this case, what's right in the middle, there is some for the planning and land use at the bottom, but the main part you want to look at is this table right below here. It should, and I emphasize should, have the up-to-date information as far as expiration dates go. Unfortunately, this is not an automated process. And when you finish your training on the Cornerstone, it does not automatically update this page. So there's somebody that has to manually do it. In fact, somebody did it today after I asked the question about a couple people whose training showed as expired. And the last time they updated this was at least 2 weeks ago, because one of the people had finished whose training expiration was not updated on this page, took their training again and renewed it about 2 weeks ago. So don't count on this to necessarily be up to date, especially if it shows that your training is expired. However, there is an expired training that is up to date, and that person needs to retake their training, and hopefully they will know how to do that after this training. Because now that our bylaws have taken effect, there's a 60-day window after, in this case, July 18 or August 18th, which is when the bylaws were approved, that person needs to renew their training. So this is this is the first place you can look. Now, the next, oh great, this thing is out of the way. How do I move this? All right. What? Okay, this, if you need to retake your training, or another way to find out what your expiration dates are, you want to look at this page, which is, I can't read it all because of where the toolbar is, but it's, I believe, lacity.csod, CSOD dot something. Unfortunately, like I said, I can't read it. So if you know how to log in here and you know your username and password, then you just log in here. If you don't, because about a year ago, almost to the day, they changed our usernames. And you should have, my email came on September 16th, 2021. So if you don't know for sure what your username is, look for an email titled Cornerstone Username Changed, I believe is the subject line. And that will tell you what your username is, your new username. Your password should not have changed. However, if you don't remember your password, there's this forgot password link right below the username and password fields. And you click on the forgot password and go through the process to reset your password. So now we'll go on to the next screen as if we have logged in, know your password, know your username, and you logged in. You will get to this page. And there are multiple ways to get to the next page, which is the transcript. But I'm going to show you something down here first, because this will come into play later. This required training currently says no training available. So that means that does not mean that you are not required to renew anything. It means you haven't gotten to the point where it's available to renew. And just keep in mind that spot down there. Now, one of the places you get to the transcript is this round transcript button here. I'm going to go through a menu option because this is the way that the instructions will tell you to if you need to get the instructions. So you go up to this learning menu, you go down to view your transcript. That will bring up this screen. And you go to this first drop-down menu here that says active. You want to go to completed. This is if you have already completed your training and you need to renew it. So here you will get the trainings that you have finished. Now, when you can see a few things over here, like if you want to see your certificate, then you can get the drop down to the certificate and it will bring up the certificate. So that is one way to see when you last took the training. And if you ever need to get the certificate to give to anyone or something like that, then that's one way to do it. Now, assuming you know, well, the other way is you can look right under the name of the training. There's the date. The same date that you took the training, the same date that shows up on the certificate. So if that date is more than 2 years from the date you're looking at it, then your training is expired. So it's 2 years from that date that your training is expired. But like I said, you're not going to get any notification on this. You're going to have to look at it on your own. Now, assuming your training is expired or it's close to expiring and you want to retake it, you don't do anything over here. It says launch, don't just ignore this drop down menu over here. You want to click on, and I did this just as a practice run. That's why it's September 3rd. I did something other than the 3 that are required. You click on the title of the training. And that will bring up this screen. The key you want to look at is this request button over here. You can do some other things here, just like on the other. Again, ignore the drop-down menu. Click directly on the button, not the little arrow over there, because that does something different. Click on the request button. This will pop up and give you a little message about, you know, how to do it or what it's going to do. Again, click on the request button. And this will show up. Now, no, well, a little message flashed on the bottom, but it basically says, okay, now you have something required to do. Now we go back to that home page that you saw when you first logged in. Go to the home and then welcome. Back to this page. Now, when you go down here, you'll see you have required training. That should be the training that you want to take to renew your expired training or soon to expire training. Then you click on the launch button.
It's 7:30.
And it's 7:30. And it will get you to the point where you can actually start the training. And for this course, you know, it has this kind of start to it, and then you click on the start course, you go through it, and you have to go all the way through it to a point where it will give you the certificate. So you can't necessarily just speed through it. So that is how you get to the training to renew it. You have to manually go through some of these steps to find out what your training expiration is, and you know, and that based on the completion date, the last time you completed it. So, any questions on any of this?
Okay, looks like Chris has a question. Chris, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Victor, for digging all this out and presenting, because while you were speaking, I was able to go through and follow along and find my, you know, my training that's close to expiration. This is an awful system. I mean, this is the 21st century, and the user interface, just the logical, quote unquote, organization of the website, and the way this very small amounts of data are managed is like Stone Age by comparison. And I cannot believe that we as taxpayers are paying for this. Like, it's easier to order a sandwich, you know, or you know, an airstrike than to even find out if the training's current or not. You know, I remember the mayor saying on several occasions how the city's data driven, and you know, really kind of talking up our IT infrastructure and things like that. You wouldn't know it to see this. I know this isn't on you or anything, but for anybody who cares, of course, at least, you know, a dozen and a half of us are going to have to navigate this sooner than later. And I've already had my own personal, you know, ordeals in terms of trying to stay current and even find out what things were available. If, you know, I'm not sure where we would even start to ask people about why this is so awful, but it's almost as if they don't want you to stay current. I don't know. It seems like it would be very difficult for them to make it more of a challenge. But anyway, thank you for making it simpler. And this means that there's a very good chance that I'll actually complete mine before it expires. So I appreciate that.
If I could chime in real quick, two things. One, you're right, Chris. I didn't want to be the first one to say it, but since you did, I have, and Ottaviano can vouch for this, I have complained multiple times. I've been very persistent and, as I put it, nagging to them about how horrible this is and about how bad this system is. So you are definitely not the only one. The second thing, one thing I forgot to do, if you don't want to rewatch this video, once you get logged in, if you click on this here where you see the how to renew your trainings, there are these links down here. If you click on that link, it brings up this set of instructions, which is a pretty decent set of instructions for going through the process to renew your training. And this set of instructions is why I went through the menu option drop down to get to the transcript versus clicking on that button, because that's the way they show it in the instructions. Okay, that's all for me.
Okay, I see another hand. John DeMeglio, go ahead and make a comment or ask a question.
Yeah, I want to comment on that also. And Octaviano, I think, is still here in the meeting. It's too complicated. You need to change this and make it simple so we can do our training. That's all we want to do is our training. And if you're going to make us go through a maze to get to it, it serves no purpose. There's no reason for that. We need to change that whole system, and it needs to be updated ASAP. Thank you.
Okay. Seems to me that we're in our public comment period. Any other people from the board that'd like to make a comment? I don't see any other hands, so we'll move over to our public aspect for public comment on this agenda item. And if anyone has a comment, and a hand just popped up, and it belongs to Octaviano. Go ahead, Octaviano.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Chair. As Octaviano, Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, just wanted to provide a quick response. And thank you, Board Member Christensen, for that overview, and Board Member Valle for your honesty. I know I don't take it personally. I chuckle because there's a lot of folks that feel the same way, including the department and including your general manager for the department. So there's some resources she's been advocating for, and it's a slow process that to advocate for an improved platform. But just if you haven't heard the information about it, it's developed by another department. We piggybacked on it because we didn't have our own as a department to house these various required trainings and optional trainings. We don't have a timeline as to if or when we're going to get our own platform that's going to be a more tailored to the neighborhood council system. But know that it's on the wish list, and we'll keep at it. But thank you for the comments, and keep sharing those, of course. And if you have any difficulty with it, don't hesitate to reach out. I know folks have a lot to do, and you're really busy with your personal items. So let us help you lift a little bit of that burden. We won't do the trainings for you, but we'll certainly try to help connect the dots. And just another reminder, just in terms of other notification that you can look out for in terms of flagging some of those expired trainings is your NC profiles. So check that out at the beginning of the month. Look over the document, and you'll see consistently your board roster, as well as the dates next to your name and where you are, whether you're expired or not. So and Victor, I think you mentioned it, but just in case my connection was faulty, I just wanted to point that additional notice there that you can count on to flag those. Thank you.
Thank you, Octaviano. I don't see any other comments from the public side. I do see two hands up back in our panelist side. Kelly will go first, and then Mr. Christensen will be our last comment, unless he's got more information to share. So Kelly, you want to go ahead?
Thank you. Victor, I went through that. Thank you for showing me that because mine expires today. So kind of nice to know. I did go into the thing and put my number in that I had, and it said to get the new password because it didn't, for some reason, it wouldn't recognize the password that I had saved for it. And it told me that if my credential was valid, it would send me an email. I still haven't gotten an email. It said it would take a few minutes. I seem to recall last time that it took like 4 days for the guy to get back to me on it. So I'm not sure if there's something else that we can do to find out what our credential is or what the sign in is. If there was anything else that we could do with that.
Did you, well, we should probably do this offline, but
Okay.
look back around September 16th of 2021 to look for your new username.
I did try to find that, and I couldn't find it, but I can go on to a different computer that might have that, an older one. My phone doesn't have my old ones like that.
Okay, because I think if I remember right, if it doesn't recognize the username or the email address or something like that, you will not get any indication of that. It just won't show up in your email box.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong or it's right, because it doesn't give you any indication one way or the other.
Right.
If there's no message that shows up.
I do recall last time having to contact someone, and I remember it taking like 4 days for him to get back to me on it.
That would be the best thing to do if you don't get an email is I'm going to volunteer Octaviano and email him and tell him that it's, you're not getting the email. So what do you do?
Okay, great.
And then the reason I had my hand up was in response to Octaviano's reminder that the NC profile also has the expiration dates. Well, yeah, it does, but all it is basically a screenshot of what's on the page that I showed you at the beginning, which means instead of being 2 weeks out of date, it could be a month out of date since it only comes monthly. So that's why I did not specifically mention that, because it would be less use than the web page that I mentioned, in my opinion. So that I did know about that. I just didn't mention it because of that, because it's a monthly thing and it's the same as what's on the web page.
All right, well, thank you all. Victor, to begin with, for the great reminder, and also the tutorial that you gave us. I know one person who's going to put it to good use. So without any objection, we'll move over to our next agenda item, and that's our consent calendar. We have 4 items on the consent calendar. Quickly, they're approved August 8th and 16th board and stakeholder meeting minutes. The removal of Cynthia Gagne from the Port Environment and Sustainability Committee. Approve the account administrator in accordance to the Empower LA Digital Communications Policy, and to remove Alec Norman from the board of our board, because the young man is definitely going to bigger and better things. He is in school, I believe in Berkeley, right, Thomas?
Yep, that's correct.
Congratulations. So let's see. If anyone has a objection to one of these, let me know. I see a hand up, Victor.
Just a quick note for everybody. We technically don't need to approve Alex's resignation. I only put that on there so everybody would know he was no longer on the board. So it is, you know, it's not a problem leaving it on there, but I just wanted to make sure everybody knew. We don't technically have to approve that.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, so do I have a motion for the consent calendar?
So moved.
That is Dan Dixon. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
And that sounds like Mr. Barbera. Any discussion? I do not see any hands. Mr. Christensen, could you take the vote count?
Okay, John Barbera,
Yes.
Dick Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio,
Yes.
Dan Dixon,
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb,
Yes.
Cynthia Gagne,
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq,
Yes.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Yes.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
David Samperio.
Yes, yes, yes.
One vote.
I sense that you didn't unmute right away. Angela Sumner,
Yes.
Chris Valle,
Yes.
okay, it is unanimous. It carries.
Great. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next agenda item. That is our motions. We have two sections here, budget and finance, and also planning and land use. Oh, but we already did the planning and land use, so we just have one left, and that's budget and finance. Melanie, would you like to go over? Melanie, I think you're muted.
Unmute myself. Alrighty, so both of these are out of committee. And so first is the MER. And our net available is $31,237.71. And we spent like $586.73. So any discussions? If not, call for the vote. Thomas,
Yes.
Dave Samperio,
Yes.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic,
Aye.
Ray,
Yes.
John DeMiglio.
Wait, hang on, Melanie. Ray is not eligible.
Oh, Ray isn't?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, my ethics.
Oh,
Sorry about
okay,
that,
never
guys.
mind.
Unethical.
I have no ethics.
John DeMiglio,
Yes.
Dan Dixon,
Unethical, yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Melanie, yes, Kelly,
Yes.
Angela,
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
Okay, and then the next thing is the budget. And so same balance, 31,237.71. And we're all set. We did just pay the web hosting fee, which will be on the next budget next time. We just paid the $280 for that, so. So this is out of committee. Any discussion? Okay, so call for the vote. Thomas,
Yes.
Dave Samperio,
Yes.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic,
Aye.
John DeMiglio.
Yes.
Let's see, Dan Dixon,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Melanie, yes, Kelly,
Yes.
Angela,
Yes.
Chris Valle,
Yes.
All done.
Okay. All right, that takes care of number 7. We'll go to the agenda item number 8, which is the EVG working group update. Melanie?
So the EVG working group right now, what we're doing is in the process of selecting 14 neighborhood councils that are going to be the proxy testing neighborhood councils that will be the notified of being the test pilot program for being hybrid. The process is pretty involved as far as figuring out who's going to do it, because we want to have demographics and have socioeconomics and all of that represented, as well as technical ability and makeup size of neighborhood councils, and also those that you want within a test group type thing to have some that maybe fail, that aren't very good at technology and all of that, that maybe they fail, so you know just how to pick up those pieces before it is going to all 99 neighborhood councils. You want to know where to fix the wheels coming off the cart. So that's where we're at right now, and we have a meeting Thursday on this again, so it'll be interesting where we end up. But that's it.
All right, thank you, Melanie. Any questions for this agenda item? We'll go with the board first. Any comment or questions? I do not see any hands up. And for the public, any public comment on this one? I do not see any hands up also, so no comments on this particular agenda item. Melanie, I just want to say that I know this particular group has been working really hard on this, and it's a tough group to be part of, only because everything is kind of fluid with COVID, still us meeting in the virtual realm. So thank you very much for sticking with it and working with everybody. So the next agenda item, number 9, the ports meeting with the Port of Los Angeles. There was no, Lydia, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. I'm really sorry to bug you. I noticed in that previous vote that you were ineligible, Ray.
Yes.
I don't know if any of the other board members are ineligible, because I noticed at the top that not everybody's done their trainings. I just wanted to verify so your minutes are correct.
I do not believe anyone else was ineligible at this particular time. Please correct me, somebody.
Everybody else is fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So going back to the president's meeting with the port, there was no port meeting this past month, so no report. We'll go to agenda item number 10, and it's various reports from our various committees. So we'll start off with budget and finance. Melanie, any reports?
Yeah, budget and finance, we just discussed, we reviewed MER in the budget, and then we discussed the rollover funds. The big question was when had we seen the rollover funds yet? And I said no, and we won't see them until there's a notification that comes from the city clerk. I'll get a notification letter saying that they're ready. They have to do an audit on each neighborhood council's funds, and then they'll make them available, and then we can add them to our budget.
Okay, that's it?
Yep, that's it.
Right.
You want me to do public safety now too?
Might as well, since you're there.
Okay, so basically we discussed the ad hoc committee and what was, going on. At that time, October 17th was the date, but it's been changed to the 27th now for the town hall. Highland Park bathroom incident involving elderly woman found naked in bathroom. We discussed that and problems getting the full information with what happened. And then also the animal shelter. I contacted Ray because there was a break-in at the animal shelter. And there was a lot of, and this is what happens with a lot of incidents on social media. There's a lot of hearsay and innuendo and things like that going around. And I wanted to make sure that the straight word was out about what exactly happened over there. So I went over there and talked to the director. And she informed me that yes, they had a break in. The front glass of the hospital was cracked, busted completely out. And she said that what had happened is they broke in, but no drugs were taken, no equipment was stolen. The only thing that was stolen was a credit card reader. That was it. They've gotten the glass right away repaired. And they also explained that the animal shelter side is LA City side. The pet hospital side is a contract. It's not part of LA City or county. It's a contract that's over there. So that was interesting because I didn't know that. I thought it was part of LA City also. Then we discussed a cleanup, but that's on hold right now until the water problem gets fixed in front of Target. I'm not going to have anybody out there in mosquito infestations doing any type of cleanup. So that's on hold. And Wildfest is on hold until we're done with this public safety forum. So any questions, comments?
I do see a hand up, and I'm not sure if it's from the last question. Lydia, did you have a question?
No, I'm good. I was just going over the done website to double check.
Okay,
Never
good.
mind.
Thank you. Okay, any on the public comment side, anything for our CPAP? I'm sorry, public safety? I don't see any hands.
And then CPAB, well, I'll let Craig do if he wants to do, because he attended.
Okay.
I couldn't attend because
Well,
I had
just give me a second to make sure that there's no one from the attendee side for questions. Public comment from our attendees? Okay, I see no hands. Okay, go ahead with CPAP. Right.
Okay, the best part of the CPAB was going over the dispatch. And so you all know that Ask LAPD and or 911 calls all go into the same place. 911 gets answered first. If 10 people call for the same incident, they just work through each one of them, but they will all go to the head of the list. So that's why if you're wondering why you may have to wait 45 minutes to an hour for Ask LAPD, it's all going through the same call center. We had a good discussion about, having a tour of the center and about having doing some sort of video so we could see, which I would like to follow up on. Also, there was a lot about and also what you should have. We were talking about putting together a cheat sheet or whatever, so when you call 911 you have the information that they need, and that's something else I'll follow up on. That's pretty much it. Any questions?
Okay, any questions? Let's take the board first. Any questions from our panelists? I don't see any hands up. we'll move over to the public comment from our attendees. Please raise your hand if you have a question for Craig. And I don't see any hands up. Okay, thank you, Craig, for stepping in on this. Let's go ahead and go to our next agenda item, and I believe planning and land use. I'm not sure, is there someone else who's going to be doing planning and land use? If there's any additional information, I think
we're done.
Yeah, I have the same feeling. So there is a report there. So if you have any desire to look at the report, please go ahead and look at the report that has been submitted. So we'll go ahead. I'm sorry?
We skipped a couple.
Skipped a couple what?
After public safety was bylaws and elections.
Okay, I don't see the agenda, so I'm kind of going.
No, I'm going by what Christina, the way she loaded them here.
No, you need ideally go by the agenda. So
right,
yeah,
but I don't see any documents for bylaws. An election is a thing.
Well, put the agenda back up.
Okay, so thank you for putting it back up. So let's go ahead and we'll talk about a little bit about the bylaws approved by the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. They're effective August 18th. Now, I haven't had a chance to review them in detail, but let me ask Vic. Vic, are we supposed to do anything with this? I mean, it is kind of automatic with Gun.
It's pretty much automatic. This was put on there mainly as just an announcement type of thing.
Right.
I was going to mention that not everything that we submitted in our amended bylaws was approved, but most of it was. So we're going to have to look at it. And by we, I mean pretty much you and maybe Diana, the committee.
Yeah.
Look at it in detail and decipher what was not approved and how that might affect us and things like that.
Right. So we're gonna go ahead and I need to have a little bit more detailed look at it. So let's we'll come back to that next month, and after we've had a better opportunity to look at it in more detail. And we do go into item number 2 under C. We do still have a non-governmental seat open, along now with our newly vacated youth seat. So we're going to have to extend the time for people to apply. I will say that we had someone very close with an individual associated with the skate park. I had a conversation with her, and she indicated after we've had this conversation that there is actually, it would be difficult for her at this particular time to participate in the neighborhood council as she had wanted to, or indicated to others, only because she is going to be doing some traveling with the work that she does. So we're not going to be able to get someone on the non-governmental side, and so we'll have to extend. We'll just extend it and see if we can go out and get a new potential candidate for this. And the youth seats will just continue. We'll just continue. Update the expiration date on our website for another 30 days, and hopefully we'll get someone there. So executive committee, actually I was going to talk a little bit about the vacancies. I do want to just mention that we are taking this community forum real seriously, and we've been having a lot of conversations internally on the ad hoc committee. And also, I've had the opportunity, or I'm taking the opportunity to talk to contacts that I have within other agencies and other individuals as far as what this might look like, to see if there's anybody that'd like to contribute to this particular thing. It's a good opportunity to show our desire to partner with our city partners, with the parks and rec and parks, with LAPD, with the fire department, with the park rangers. We've had the opportunity to have conversations within the ad hoc committee meeting, which is great. Well, ad hoc committee members, I should say, but also with the fact that this isn't something that we're taking advantage of being able to point fingers at anybody. In fact, we're just looking for areas that we can help assist in developing better relationships, also representing our desire to be representatives of our communities as we are elected in our board capacities. I remind our partners that this is what we're trying to do. I think sometimes there's a hesitancy from some of our outside partners that this is a gotcha moment, and definitely this is not. This is an opportunity for us to show our collaboration efforts in helping develop the things that we have, especially with the fact that we have such a serious incident. We've had some, according to the news, we had some arrests from on the LAPD side, and we continue to see how we might be able to strive further. So with that, I just wanted to make sure that I convey to you that this is a very serious attempt at collaboration with the community. I'd like to commend Melanie and the other ad hoc committee members for all the great work they're doing. Kelly, Chris, Dan, Melanie, I think I said before, Angela, you all are doing really great work.
John Barbera.
And John, yeah, I can't forget John because he's such an anchor to this whole effort. So please continue the good work. Please continue the opportunity for this collaboration. One thing that I know in the past that we have always had, I've been proud of with our neighborhood council, and I think it goes for many of you others, that we have been looked upon that that we actually get a lot of work done. We actually get the work done as neighborhood councils without conflict, without getting ourselves embroiled in controversy and things like that. I'll remind some of you who are relatively new that a few years ago, I had asked a person from another neighborhood council who was attending our neighborhood council when we were still meeting at Peck Park. I asked him, so tell me, how did you like the meeting today? And he pretty much told me that it was boring. It was boring in the respect that we didn't have any, back and forth, anger or name calling or anything like that. We just got the work done. At the end of the night, we all walked away, talking to each other and not being angry with each other or angry with others. So I think he was trying to make a point that, maybe there's, more exciting neighborhood councils to be out there. But I took it as such a compliment because we get the work done, and the work is done at the committee level. So anyway, I'll stop. Thank you so much to all of you for all the work that you do, because this is important stuff. Let me see. Melanie, Chris, Vic, anything that I might have missed that we should include? Just raise a hand and so I can call on you.
I don't,
Chris,
just,
go ahead.
Yeah, no, just, I guess I just reinforce that,
Chris, you're muted.
you're muted, Chris.
sorry, there we go. Thanks. I just wanted to emphasize to people that, you know, it is being taken very seriously, and because it is such a big issue that it's gotten so many people's attention, you know, put San Pedro on the map in not the best way. We are trying to use it as an opportunity to open channels and create relationships that should help, you know, not just try to minimize or prevent incidents like that in the future, but just have a better sense of cooperation and a better sense of information and confidence and reassurance in the public and the stakeholders as to what goes on behind the scenes and what's happening, not only just in response to something like this, but on a day-to-day basis, so that if the average person understands these things better, they will hopefully see opportunities themselves to, you know, put political pressure on and to hopefully get more involved. So it's, you know, just trying to raise the level altogether of engagement.
Thank you, Chris. Melanie, I see your hand up, but Victor, that I think I saw your hand up also. But so I'll call on you if you still like to make a comment, but Melanie, go ahead.
Yeah, just to piggyback on what Chris said, you know, I agree 100%. And what you said too, it's really important. And no matter what, I mean, and you've heard some controversy that we've had about calling it harbor area, but the thing is, no matter the change that we want to impose and the change that we want to make, and hopefully they consider, is that, you know, it'll affect not just Northwest parks, it's going to affect all parks. And so when you start talking about budget, everything else for the parks, it all comes down to public safety, because all of that filters to public safety. You know, if you don't maintain it, it's a public safety issue. If you don't enforce it, it's a public issue. You know, all of it comes down to that. So, and we've got a great group of people that are amazing, that are getting a lot of stuff done. I'm really impressed by everyone.
Thank you, Melanie. Victor, did you have something that you wanted to say?
Well, I've got some things separate from what you've been talking about, but it might fit better under the announcements at the end.
Sounds good. We'll go ahead and do it at that point then. Thank you, Victor. All right, so youth and outreach, Chris, any reports?
Yeah, just briefly, that we're continuing to work on production of our first PSA. It's going to be related to voter registration, and we're still developing a script/screenplay, and we'll be reaching out to elected officials to hopefully either, you know, to see if they will be willing to read a few of our lines, or if they have a, you know, short couple of sentences, a short comment that we could put into a montage to contribute to that. So we're planning on getting a draft within the next week or so.
Great, thank you, Chris. And I neglected to ask for any public comment on the executive committee and also youth and outreach. So if there's any, I know we had comment from the board, but from our community attendees, if there's any questions, please raise your hand. Any comments, please raise your hand. I don't see any hands, so okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is we already had planning and land use. So we'll move on to community issues.
Thank you, Ray.
Wait.
I just want to say one thing before the report. In my many years on the board here, one of the most delightful and constructive personalities that I've known on the board, when she was our youth representative, was Anise Goldfarb, Craig's daughter. And I can say with pleasure that Craig and his family spent a humid Labor Day weekend on the East Coast at Anise's wedding to her, am I correct, Craig, high school sweetheart from Pola? Pretty great stuff.
Yes, 12
Good.
years.
12, wow, wow. They've hung in there together, and now they are together forever. And that's just great. I hope your trip was wonderful. And she's a great young person. Very happy for her and her new husband.
Thank you.
I want to say that a few things happened. One, it's time to take a moment to acknowledge the opening of the skate park, the official grand opening of the skate park. And I would like John Barbera to do most of the color commentary on that. I just want to say that it was great to have 7 of our board members there at the opening. In no particular order, Ray, Angela, Melanie, Chris, Craig, John Barbera, and I was there too. That was pretty good turnout. Also, I was astonished by the press coverage, which is a great tribute to the Skate Park Association for keeping this on the radar. Even the LA Times was there. Even the LA Times was there. And they did a decent job of covering it. And they had a good video up on their website, on their online website. So my compliments to the press, both local and El Segundo, for doing a good job. John, do you want to talk a little bit about that event?
Yeah, even Spectrum One had, they filmed a lot. Matter of fact, over the weekend, I saw that again. And I spotted, of course, you, me, and Ray and Angela back where we were standing. And it was really great. I mean, they gave out some 25 or 30 to kids that couldn't afford it. Vans gave out skates, helmets, pads, everything to go along with skateboard skates. I'm thinking of my son. Skateboard and everything. And it was really nice. They gave out these package deals to all these kids that couldn't afford it. And it turned out to be a great event and opening. And as Andy Harris put it, long overdue, way long overdue. And hopefully we can keep it going.
Thank you, John. And I will note that it did take a long time to come to fruition, but remarkably, Queen Elizabeth was alive to see the opening. Not by much, but she made it. In other items, we're kind of in touch with someone we'll call Detective Serpico about the status of cannabis shops and in San Pedro. LAPD is looking at the situation with respect to numbers and licensing and that sort of thing. We are following up with LAPD, and we'll have a further report later in the calendar this year. John, I'd like you to touch on the decorative lights at Weymouth Corners.
Well, as far as them, they're hanging so low, I could probably touch them now. That's how low they are. But as you remember, Dan, I talked to Ryan when we were at the skate park, and once again, if they couldn't get it fixed temporarily, they were going to raise them up and tie them up again. Well, that was August 21st, and here we are, the 12th. So nothing's been done yet, and that's really starting to scare that whole H Street. And as you guys know, I'm at the Assistance League, and I see it when I go there at least 2-3 times a week. Now they're really looping. There's a couple of them that are hanging too far down. One truck, it doesn't have to be that. It could be just a food truck, a big food truck with 16, 18 footer. It's going to catch the lights and drag it on. So I need to get with, Ryan. I sent him an email today, but he didn't respond. But I need to get with him on this, because it's ridiculous. And in all honesty, this is the end. We're getting in the middle of September, and we only have October, November, and here's Candy Cane Lane. It's going to be dangerous. So we need to get this fixed, and I'm going to jump on this right away again tomorrow. So.
Thank you, John. Finally, the Navy property on North Yaffe Street, just a place marker on this one. The Navy is still working its black magic or its arcane magic with potential lessees for the property. No decisions will be made until deep into 2023. Couple of things to note. One is it appears that the property, any property involving the Palos Verdes Blue Butterfly and the baseball fields, both near the police pistol range, Bobby Sox, and then up towards 5 Points, those areas are all not part of the lease. And unlike Ponte Vista, the Navy intends to retain ownership of this property. So this is strictly a lease negotiation they're going through. We will keep you posted as events develop. That's really it for now. We're always on the lookout for issues to look into. So don't hesitate to reach out if you see something amiss physically in the neighborhood that needs attending to. May not be immediately soluble, but we'll work on it. Melanie? You're muted.
Chris had his hand up first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw yours. Chris?
Chris and Melanie, if you can just hang on 1 second, I want to address and bring to attention to what I think is just some outstanding work by our outreach youth. I'm sorry, our community issues committee. The skate park has been just sitting in limbo for so long, and if it wasn't for, and this is my opinion, but if it wasn't for the advocacy by John and Dan to the councilman's office, to other stakeholders, I think there's a certain level of congratulations that should go to both these individuals for their advocacy to get this approvals going so that these kids can use this skate park more readily, because it was just languishing there. And it seemed like when these two guys got on the job, they started to move on it, Joe's office and so on. So I'd like to, give both these individuals a pat on the back for all the hard work they did in getting this skate park back on the legislative agenda, the bureaucratic agenda to get this thing done, because it was outstanding work, and congratulations on both of them. So anyway, Chris, I saw your hand up. Yeah.
Ray, may I just say this? You're very kind. I want to extend all credit to John Barbera for sticking with this like appropriately to see that it came to fruition. Also, some people in the council office, some of who are there, some of who have left, all were helpful. And I want to cite our own John DiMaglio from our committee, who's extremely supportive of this throughout, and spoke up and spoke from the heart about this very valuable community resource. I want to thank everybody who spoke up about it, and certainly to John, who stayed on the case as long as it took. Thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'd like to thank
DiMaglio,
the
thank you.
Academy. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Lordy. Okay, so I saw a couple hands up. I saw Chris's hand up first, Melanie, and then John DiMaglio, you'll be the next after that. So Chris, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thanks, Ray. You said a lot of what I wanted to say, but I just, again, for people who don't know exactly all the gritty details, the Channel Street skate park that you see there now is a result of well over 2 decades of effort, much of which was just kind of shoestring, community driven by local skaters. It was one of those places that had been quote unquote established and had been back and forth in terms of its legality and all that stuff. Years before I ever encountered it, one of the first things in San Pedro I ever visited was that skate park to come and take pictures. And that was like 2009, where it had already, kind of been in the grayest of gray areas, and had obviously at that point many years of work left to go. And I come out of the skateboard community, from way back, and yet it was the, quote unquote, and I use the term lovingly, the nerds who actually got this done. It was the administrative side, it was the city side that made it it threaded the needle really, almost literally, because just the land rights and the legality and the jurisdictions to get Caltrans and 2 ports and the city to come to any kind of reasonable resolution of this in anyone's lifetime is nothing short of miraculous. But it's such an immediate and immediately appreciated benefit to the community, the skate community. And it's not just local media that covered. This month, we're on the cover of Thrasher magazine, which if you don't know, is essentially like the Sports Illustrated of skateboarding. So it's a great big deal, and it's gotten as much recognition as something like this would ever get. It's really like literally it's a landmark. And I did very little. I was happy to be along for the ride, but really, John Barbera, Dan Dixon, push this thing through. And again, it is literally maintaining contact and attention with the public agencies so that they don't take their foot off the gas, which they very easily could have and often do. So this was a absolute win for San Pedro, and I'm very proud that the neighborhood council was involved at all.
Thanks. Melanie, you want to go ahead? I also see that David Sampierio's hand went up, so
Yeah.
Right after John DeMeglio, David, you'll be up.
Yeah, the skate park, it's amazing what they accomplish. To see what it looked like originally and then what it developed into, and everybody worked hard on that goes skating there, and all the people that were involved in it were in there with their hands building the cement and building the ramps and everything. And I spoke with April, and she said that what's come out of this from the skate park is they documented everything, the way they put it together, all the steps they had to go through, and everything that they did to make this happen. And that's why she's going to be traveling, is they are having her travel to other communities to help them with skate parks, to build skate parks like ours in other communities. And they're using their model as a way for other communities to have it happen, which I think is amazing. And on another note, John, on your decorative lights for Weymouth Corners, have you just emailed Ryan, or have you included Jacob in your emails? Because from personal experience, sometimes you have to CC him on there for the email.
I have been.
Okay.
Last couple of emails, but I haven't heard from Jacob, just Ryan.
Okay.
But I think what I'm going to do is go directly and have a private, just an email to, Jacob, and maybe not include Ryan.
Yeah.
All right,
Sounds
great.
good.
Thank you, Melanie. Mr. DeMeglio, you want to go ahead and make a comment?
Yeah. Thank you for your words, Dan. There's 2 guys featured on one of the news papers locally, and I've watched this program start from day one, from the first brick they laid. And these 2 people, and I know there's more than just these 2 people, need to be recognized by Buscanino's office, and they need to be recognized by our neighborhood council. They need to get awards or whatever we can do to praise these people that did so much for these kids. We need to have that. And I've advocated it before, and it needs to be done as our neighborhood board. And also the city has to give up. They might have already done it, that's fine. But these people went way out of their way for kids in this area, San Pedro and Wilmington. And just to see the kids walk from all over the area, from Wilmington to San Pedro or wherever, and use this facility is just it's an amazing thing, and hopefully it does spring on. And there was a deal in Harbor City where these bunch of young kids joined the board, neighborhood council, and they got one put in their city also. So there's hope out there, and there's a lot of people pushing for it, and we need to support these people. Thank you.
John, help me. Which two people are you referring to?
They're on the front page of the, I don't know if I could say it or not, random links right now.
Oh.
But Andy and the other guy that's next to Andy, these guys were from the get-go.
Okay. Yeah.
And not only that is they did it out of their own pocket, the original setup and stuff. So, you know, they just came a long ways, and they need to be really recognized as far as I'm concerned. Okay,
Agreed. Thank you, John.
David, you're up.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback what John was saying. Those individuals are longshoremen. So we do use our time and resources. Some of us use our time and resources for the betterment of our neighborhood, for kids, for things like that. So I know sometimes longshoremen get a bad rap. It's a very, very small percentage, but sometimes they're the ones that get the headlines. But I just wanted to make sure that we all know that those were longshoremen. They use their resources, like John was saying, and their time to do that, to get that off the ground from the get-go. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, David, thank you for doing that. Both you and John, but thank you for reminding us. Attending that grand opening, it was very apparent how important the longshoremen were in all the work that was being done and the support that the young people got out there. I didn't actually mean to diminish their work, but definitely I've never heard of a longshoreman that has a bad rap. I think all you guys do some wonderful work, you know, on and off the job. So look at the representatives we have here on our neighborhood council. So thank you for reminding us. Appreciate it.
That was nice of you to say. Thanks.
Hey, so let's take any public comment from the attendee side for this community issues report. If there's any comment from anybody. Okay, I do not see any hand. Oh, a hand just popped up. It looks like it's Delaney. Delaney, you want to go ahead and make a comment?
Yeah, Delaney Jones, you guys gonna get sick of me being on this meeting, right?
Not at all.
No, since we're talking about the community, I know this wasn't on the agenda, but I noticed that those when you get off the 110 freeway at Gaffey, they had put up some beautiful palm trees with some beautiful gating and LED lights, and I noticed that that's really diminishing quickly. I mean, it's no longer being watered. The plants are all dead. The lights are off. And I was just wondering if you had any news about bringing that back to life. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I'm sure our community issues will put it on their radar. Right, Dan?
Duly noted. We'll take it up with Central Neighborhood Council.
Great, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I see no other hands. We'll go ahead and move on to our port and environment and sustainability committee report. Thomas, anything?
Yeah, thank you. This will be brief. We don't have a bunch of letters. We're not asking for any action. We're in the process of reorganizing. So the most important thing for me to communicate for those who want to go is in polling the two committees, this is two committees that combined now that met on different times and dates, obviously. The best time was going to be sticking with the more traditional port time, which is Tuesday, September 20th, 6:30 p.m. To allow for those who have more typical work schedules. We're starting a little bit later if you want to attend. And I understand, former secretary, we get to keep the same Zoom link. So you won't have to change anything there, but you'll see the agenda coming out shortly. Still soliciting ideas from members of the committee. So those of you on the committee there that have ideas, please get those to me ASAP. I can give a couple of highlights if you want to attend. We'll be having a presentation on air monitors done by a colleague of mine at Dominguez Hills, Dr. Jim Jin Liu, has just concluded his second study of air quality in the area. My house had monitors both inside and outside to compare what's actually happening in the home air we breathe compared to the external air. And that's something that we've talked about before. So he'll just be kind of sharing some of his results when he's found that affects San Pedro. And that might be an avenue for us to explore if we want to go further with some of the ideas we've had with a partner. Also hope to have people come to the meeting talking about the PAP, Port Capital Improvement Program Project Development Committee. That hasn't had a lot of time since I've been on the port committee. So hope to have people bring ideas on that as well as other ideas that folks have. There's nothing that's been brought to my attention environmentally that we're working on. And I'll take any questions or comments.
All right, great. Thank you. I see from our board, Victor, would you like to talk about your question or comment?
Just a quick comment about the webinar ID. I got to work out the details. It may change, it may not. So I don't want you to promise that it will not change because it could turn out that it does.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought we had a chance that it would stay the same. And if not, please then check the agenda for the webinar. I know that was an issue for one of the ones I tried to attend. It wasn't working, but I do hope we can keep that number.
Great, thank you. Any other comments or questions from our board? I don't see any hands, so we'll take any comments or questions from the public. Please raise your hand. And I don't see any hands raised, so we'll go along and move. Thank you, Thomas, for the report. We'll go ahead and get a report from the Christensen Science Center Ad Hoc Committee, and that is Mr. Victor Christensen.
Yeah, nothing this month. They're still, kind of on hold with pandemic stuff going on.
Okay, real good. Thank you very much. And Melanie, I'm not sure if there was a recent
No,
meeting.
no, there's
No?
nothing
Oh.
to report.
Oh. Okay, so let's go down to our liaison reports. We already had our homelessness liaison report. Anything to discuss with LADWP, Dan?
Not tonight.
Public Works, Chris?
Nothing there.
Okay, can we get lower on the agenda? See who else who's there. Okay, it looks like that's the only ones. All right, we have agenda item number 12.
Can I ask a question of Public Works Liaison?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, we've had all these, this heat wave and everything and power outages and stuff like that. Have you made any contact with DWP to see what they're going to do and how this is going to impact us financially or otherwise?
I am the Public Works Liaison. That is not the same thing as LADWP.
Okay.
No, Craig, I have not. It's a good question. Thank you.
Is that it, Craig?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll go to agenda item number 12, announcements, future agenda items. I think, Vic, you might have had something you wanted to say. Go ahead, Vic.
Yeah, a few things. One, the digital communications policy that was mentioned earlier takes effect October 4th. So part of the consent calendar was just getting ready for that. There are other things that it requires that we'll get into in the future, but that's one thing we could get done real quick. They will do they being Bonk, Board of Neighborhood Commissioners, will do a 6-month review in April of next year to revisit it for possible changes in the policy. So just want to let you know that there is going to be a review in hopefully no later than 6 months. The training, there is training on this that has happened, and I believe more that will be coming. Is not currently required as one of the ones that shows up on the, like that NWSPNC page that I showed you when I was going over the training expiration dates and that sort of thing. But they will revisit that also in April of next year. And for the training that I attended, they said there will be recording and chat transcript to be sent to attendees, but I don't think I've received that yet. If I have, I missed it in my email, but I'm planning on posting that, at least the recording. I don't think I can post the chat transcript to our YouTube channel, so people will be able to see it there.
I haven't seen anything yet either, Vic.
Okay, then maybe I don't need new glasses after all. So that's the end of just some quick highlights on that. Not going to go into a lot of detail of what the policy entails. Second thing is the LA, let me make sure I get this name right. The LA Neighborhood Council Coalition had some meetings, or had a meeting that went over the current status of the, I believe it was only the current status, because I think it was still open, of the survey on Done, on the, Empower LA Done. And I did download that video and uploaded it onto our YouTube site, YouTube channel, in a separate playlist. So there is a separate playlist just for the LA Neighborhood Council Coalition that has that meeting in there, and it does go over some results of the survey, so you can take a look. And it's item number 7 on the agenda. I do not remember exactly what the timestamp is on the beginning of that item. So if I remember to check that, I can put that out there in the comments to the video. Otherwise, just kind of skip around until you find it. And the last thing is, I'm skipping down to item 14 since I'm doing announcements anyway. Our next meeting normally is on October 10th. That day happens to be Columbus/Indigenous Peoples Day. So are we going to move that to Tuesday the 11th, which is available?
Just for information's sake, historically, we have met on holidays, but I'm not advocating for it or not advocating. So whatever the comments might be. Anyone have a comment or a thought?
Ray, just that our most hilarious meeting in my experience was in the parking lot at Peck Park, because we met on, I don't know, Veterans Day or something. The whole city was shut down.
Yeah.
But we did our meeting anyway in the dark.
And it was probably the quickest meeting I've ever attended.
Yeah, it was early in your tenure, Ray.
Is
It-
this a
it might have
motion
been.
you made, or are we just discussing?
If there is a motion, we're welcome to hear it from anybody. That's what we were asking.
I did not make a motion. All I did was to bring up the facts. If somebody wants to move one way or the other, or I guess to move to change it, then they are welcome to do so.
Okay, I see a couple of hands up. I'll just go in order that I see them here, and that's Thomas first and then John DeMeglia.
And I'll just make a motion that we keep that date.
Keep the
Keep the scheduled date, even though it's a
Monday date?
holiday. Yeah,
I
we're on
second
Zoom.
it.
okay.
Melody seconds.
Okay, we get a motion from Mr. Norman and a second from Melanie. Any discussion?
We do have a hand up.
I noticed it was John's hand and he was up when Thomas had his hand up, so I'm thinking he may have another item. Just let me check with John. John, your question or your item?
Yeah, are we talking about November 11th?
No, we're talking about October.
October, okay. No question.
Okay, great. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I see no hands. So the motion is to keep it on the regularly scheduled Monday date of the holiday. Vic, would you like to take the vote count?
Okay, John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. John DiMiglio,
No,
Dan Dixon,
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb,
Abstain.
Cynthia Gagne,
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq,
Yes.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Yes.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
David Semperio,
Yes.
Angela Sumner,
Yes.
Chris Valle,
Yes.
Okay, we have 11 ayes, 1 nay and 1 abstention.
Okay, seems like the motion passes. We will then see each other next month on Indigenous Peoples' Day. So thank you for bringing that up, and we now have our next meeting date.
I move to adjourn.
Any other comment? We need to get some public comment on this agenda item. I don't see any hands. The next agenda item is general public comment on non-agenda items, our second go around. Anything? Anybody? David, I saw a quick hand. That was by mistake?
Mistake. It was a mistake.
Okay, great. Okay, I see no hands up for item 13. Next meeting will be, like I said, on the 10th. And I heard a motion to adjourn. Do I get a second?
Second.
I think that was Dan. If I can, I'd like to, without objection, just go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for sticking it out. I want to make sure that we all know that it's 8:45. I am just so happy that it's before 9 o'clock today. So thank you, everybody, for a quick meeting. Okay, Lydia, I see your hand up. How are you?
Yes, thank you guys so much, but I wanted to know who moved the adjournment. I got who the second was, but not who moved it.
Craig Goldfarb.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody, have a nice rest of the day, evening. Have a nice month, and see you all if I don't see you before next month.
Enjoy taking the ethics test.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I wanna-
everybody.
Bye, everybody. Good night, guys.
Octaviano, you take my ethics test for me? See you all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's like Lydia has a question.